Director, thank you for being here. If you would introduce your colleague or your assistant director, and I guess another one, Tim, Mr.
My other guy ran off from
He's
us.
on the way back.
Is that a bad omen? Thank you.
If you would just go on with your presentation after the introduction.
I will do that. I want to introduce on my right Monique Odom, who's the Deputy Director for the department, as well as over Finance and Administration, along with Tim Nage, Assistant Director for Planning and Facility Development. In the gallery, our Park Board, Christy Smith, Chairman, Stan Fossick, Vice Chair, and I think I saw Jen Garcia back there as well. The leadership staff that's here with us today includes Janet Frazier, Administrative Assistant to Monique and myself, as well as Shane Dennison, Assistant Director for Open Space and Greenways, Sally Davis, Assistant Director for Community Recreation, Rick Taylor, Assistant Director for Consolidated Maintenance, John Holmes, Assistant Director for Revenue Producing Facilities, and Jim Hester, Environmental, Active, Recreation, and Events Assistant Director, along with Captain Chris Taylor of Metro Nashville Police Department, who oversees our Park Police, and Jackie Jones, our Public Information Officer. As far as this presentation today, both Monique and I will sort of tag team the presentation, and we'll start simply with the first modification that's in front of you. It adds 6.0 FTE to our custodial section for a total of $271,600, which allows us to ensure cleanliness as well as properly supplying for sanitizing the interior spaces and to keep these interior spaces up to the expectations of the users of our facilities. The next modification that's been presented is $246,800, and it's included to include increased grass mowing, trash collection, and general service to downtown parks. The increase in population downtown, plus events at Ascend, Public Square, Walk of Fame, the Riverfront, and Cumberland require daily oversight and pet waste removal, as well as trash collection. This addition ensures that the other parks throughout the county do not suffer and can be better maintained, and it includes an addition of 5 individuals. The next modification that's been presented is from a greenways maintenance, which has become a major priority as we continue to expand what I feel is the best idea that has come the Parks Department's way during the entire time I've worked for Parks. 8 new FTE will be added to the maintenance section to mow, remove trash and debris, to maintain the trails, bridges, and boardwalks across the county. An addition of $522,700 was included for these was needed for these resources for this ever-growing city. The other modifications that the mayor has presented to you to add to our budget involves youth employment and revenue increase, and I'm gonna let Monique address those additions.
If you like, Director, you can use that one.
Thank you very much. As Tommy mentioned, a second category of our funding requests support the mayor's youth employment initiative, and we have requested funding for 72 seasonal positions and 14.40 FTEs for the community centers for the 8-week summer enrichment program. That request is of $300,000. The positions, just so you know, have been added into the FY16, the current year budget, but we are requesting the funding for those positions be added. We wanted to go ahead and move forward this summer with adding those positions and strengthening those staffs. So we did that this year, and we will need to have that funding added to our next year's budget. Other funding requests that support the Youth Employment Initiative are positions for Sportsplex Tennis and Fitness Facility, Sportsplex Ice Rink, and Sportsplex Aquatics and Nature Centers. For those, we've requested a total of $102,600 to fund 15 positions and 14 4.17 FTEs. These are seasonal positions that will allow us to expand programming and improve coverage and operations. These improvements are projected to yield $112,000 in additional revenue. Additionally, the Hadley tennis bubble, we've requested funding of $98,200 for 5 positions and 2.90 FTEs for a staff to operate the tennis bubble at Hadley Park. Completion of the bubble is expected by the end of this calendar year, and the funding request includes $100,000 in additional revenue.
Chairman, we're very pleased with the budget that's been presented. It's a second year in a row where we've gotten very good increases, particularly in the maintenance area of our department, which has been a much needed addition as we've added several thousand acres to the Parks Department, brand new facilities, and with the increased demands of the ever-increasing population that Nashville has. So with that, we're ready to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councilman, the floor is open. Committee members and also the other council members. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. Let's go to the 14.4 FTEs, if you could, please. That's for youth employment?
Yes, sir. That's summer youth employment, and that's to enhance the summer program, the summer enrichment program that's operated at our community centers. It gives us a little better coverage as far as supervision, and then it also meets into what the mayor has her initiative about youth employment.
Okay. Well, I'm not question, but that averages $20,833 a person. That's just seems high to me if that's a summer job.
If you divide it by 14.4, but it's 72 individuals.
But okay, I missed the 72. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Okay, that was what was not making sense. And then some of the parks that we bought in the last administration are still not open, especially out on our side of town in the Donaldson
Yes,
Hermitage area. When are we thinking those are going to open?
The plan is this. We are in the midst of initiating the countywide Parks and Greenways master plan. At the time that this master plan that will be starting, I'll let Tim address if there are questions about the master plan, the processes that'll be going on with it. But it will be presented to the park board around the first of the year. At that point in time, we're going to start 2 master planning processes. One for the Lytle Farm, Ravenwood property, and one for the Southeast property. So it would be, we wanted to get this overall Parks and Greenways master plan, which sort of addresses the entire system, and it addresses comparing Nashville to other cities, what types of facilities need to be involved in a good, well-rounded park system, and then it will give us the opportunity at that point in time to start the process of planning for those 2 major purchases, those major land purchases.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Director Lynch, for coming before us. I had a very similar question to Councilman Glover regarding these the seasonal employees. Just to clarify, so I just want you to clarify something for me. So we got a lot of youth who are going to be employed, right?
Yes, indeed.
And the area in which they're going to be employed will enable you to offer summer enrichment programs to other youth. Is that right? Or
it will enable us to do 2 separate things. It will give us more workers so we can reduce the number that each worker supervises at the community centers in the summer enrichment program. It also will, for a few areas, allow us to bring more kids into the summer program. We've been offering summer enrichment programs in parks through the history of the department. And one of the things where it fits into the mayor's initiative about youth employment is there are people that work. Sally Davis, that runs the community center program, actually started as a summer worker when she was in high school, as did I. And it's one of the things that over the years, as budgets have been cut, as reductions have been made, it's one of the programs that actually got cut along the way. And in today's day and time with at-risk youth, with people having too much time on their hands, with youth violence going on in the city, that this will be a good step in the right direction to add in quality and to have kids have the first job opportunity and to have money that they can use as well. So this is a good first step. I fully anticipate with the upcoming budgets, as we presented a 3-year budget to the mayor, that this number will increase each year.
No, I'm pleased with the ability to employ all the people. I just want to, and I'm happy to hear that as a matter of productivity in their employment, they're able to open up some spots for other youth to be a part of the program through your summer enrichment program. The only other question I have is I know that recently in Williamson County they shut down a facility out there that served a lot of people with respect to basketball and ice rinks, and I'm wondering if any of the traffic who used that facility because it was well used has come up here and started to use ours, and if you have the infrastructure to accommodate any additional needs that are brought before you.
One of the additional modifications where we're asking for additional employees at the Sportsplex Ice Arena is a direct result of the need for more people because we are having more folks coming up here from that facility. In actuality, the figure skating instruction that was being done down there, the person came to us, saw it coming, and moved our way 1st of January. So our figure skating program is expanding, the total usage of the facility is expanding, and a lot of it has to do with the other one closing.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Director and Assistant Director. Great to see you today. A couple of questions. If you don't mind, starting with the sort of capital spending plan. I know this presentation is mostly about the operating plan. In the mayor's announcement, there were a couple of items in parks. One is $6 million for soccer fields. And is that the fairgrounds soccer investment, or is that a different investment?
Part of it would be at the fairgrounds, and part of it would be at another facility, and we're looking at the southeast portion of Davidson County for that. Yes, sir.
And that's on land that we already
That we've
own.
already purchased.
Okay. And then some other items, there's greenways, $5 million, and a land acquisition, $5 million. The land acquisition is for parks, and the greenways is land acquisition for greenways?
Well, the greenways, and I may let Shane, if she wanted to address that, would be for the development of greenways on property that we've already purchased as well.
For improvements on the properties, okay.
Yes,
And
it'd
that's separate?
It'd be expansion of the existing system.
Okay, so that's $5 million of improvement and then $5 million for land acquisition.
Yes, sir.
And then is there a balance in the land acquisition fund from previous years that we've not spent?
Now, I'm looking at Monique, who covers the books. No, sir, there's not.
Okay. And another question, you have such a big department. You've got a lot going on. The Fort Nashboro contract, just if you'd give a status update of what
Yes,
people
sir.
can expect
Yes,
on
sir.
that going forward.
Our staff was on site with Rock City, who has the contract for the first phase of the Fort Nashboro development today, as a matter of fact. And we will be breaking ground shortly for the first phase of that development.
Okay. And it's thought that that's a 3-phase development?
It would be, we feel it'd be a 2-phase.
Okay.
Basically, there's probably going to be at least $1 million that would be needed to be added into. And most of the addition of the second phase would be interior things, touchscreen things, and interactive aspects for students and teachers and things of that nature.
So the contract that's been awarded for the first phase, that's a pretty big phase. I mean, it's doing the structure and the exterior.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Well-
sir. It should be basically a year-long project.
Okay. And then the second phase would be, so the public really wouldn't come inside until the second phase was
The
awarded.
classroom aspect and things like that wouldn't come inside until the second phase, but on the grounds, inside the center, in the plaza, and things of that nature would be accessible to the public. Yes, sir. It would reopen, and it wouldn't. The second phase also, as we finished out the interior, would probably include us having a staff person on site as well. And we anticipate that this would be something that we would request in next year's budget. As soon as we got it open, that then we'd go in directly into the second phase.
For the second phase.
I'm glad you asked it. This is a very important thing that we're very glad that we have a contract for.
And then the quite fantastic Centennial Park master plan, that's also in the first phase.
We just finished the first phase. We opened it, and we have $5 million in this capital budget for next year for the start of the second phase.
For the second phase. And how many phases ultimately are contemplated at Centennial?
We anticipate and Tim, I mean, I think we plan that we would ask for $5 million a year for the next 3 years for public money, but we anticipate that the Conservancy would be doing a private solicitation that would coincide and would equal the the $15 million, so that we would end up with $30 million for redevelopment of the Centennial.
Well, I think it's important to say these friends groups have been fantastic in their support. Do you have just sort of a general estimate of how much money the friends groups of the various parks are investing in our parks privately for the benefit of everybody in the county?
And I would tell you this in a discussion that I just had at a meeting with the Friends of Warner Park, that they've invested over $30 million in Warner Park since they've been involved. And I don't have the figure for the Conservancy, the Friends of Centennial Park, but those are the two longest serving Friends groups, and Warner would have the most significant impact.
But the goal for Centennial is to match the public funds with private funds.
With private funds, yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a great partnership, and it should be a great benefit. It's first really redevelopment of Centennial Park since it was formulated.
And the last phase, if there's an end date thought for the completion of Centennial, that's four years from now?
All right, Councilman, it's generally maybe a year of planning, and then a year of construction, then a year of then maybe a year where we leave it alone. and that's kind of because, with it being such a busy park, it's hard to go from one phase to another phase to another phase, and that's sort of what we just completed the first phase just last year, and then this year it's kind of being left alone, and we're getting the money to start the planning for the next phase.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chair of Parks and Recreation.
Hello, Director Lynch. Thank you so much to you and all your staff for being here today. I was looking at your kind of initial request from a budgetary standpoint regarding a public information staff member. We had talked in committee kind of as you launch this next planning process, how important public engagement is online since we have such a vast system. I know you only have one public information officer. So, our parks that have, to your point, historically strong support from friends groups, they do a lot of social media and engagement in that regard. But I'm wondering, I was looking at your RFP for your strategic master plan as far as the deliverables on that. Is McNeely Pickett Fox, are they going to do the actual tweeting and posting and all that kind of engagement work, or will that be done by your one staff member?
Well, I'm gonna let Tim address that with you. We just left a meeting with that group at actuality just at 1:00 this afternoon, and it is both. It is our public information officer is thoroughly involved with the group, but McNeely, Piggott, and Fox will be the lead. And
Yeah.
Tim, I don't know if you want to further qualify that.
Well, I know that Jackie Jones appreciates your question. And it's a good one, and also some of the information you provided in a recent email about sort of media relations, particularly in regard to the master plan. So for the master planning process, MPNF is going to be providing the content for all of the social media, and then it's going to fall primarily on Jackie to get that all out through our website, through Facebook, Twitter, et cetera. But what we are likely to do as well is to pull together an in-house team of folks with media skills so that, at least for the duration of the master plan, all of it doesn't fall on one person.
Okay, so especially critical for that master planning process, but ongoing, that's a need that you all see is support for Ms. Jones, so you can share all the program. I mean, y'all have so much wonderful programming, and I still feel like sometimes
People
I'm
don't
like,
know about
I
it
didn't know
sometimes,
that you all
right.
did that. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't know you could go out there and kayak at such and such, you know. So,
We anticipate that the master plan will make some specific recommendations in that
in that
regard.
regard. Okay.
And again, one of the nice things with the administration's plan this time about presenting a 3-year plan, that does give us the option of looking at what we didn't get this year.
Right.
And making sure it stays on the radar as we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Hager?
Thank you, Chairman. Tommy, thank you for being here. Monique and Tim. I'm still asking about, we talked about the Saturday opening for Old Hickory. Is there any way we can still get that with a part-time employee or not?
You know, Councilman, I struggled being a people pleaser. I wish I could answer you that with a positive answer, but it's not included in what we have coming our way for next year.
How much does it cost? I think we talked about it one time. Is it $100,000 a year or?
It was in that range, yes, sir.
The way I can find that, is that still feasible or not?
If it gets included in our budget that the council passes, we will implement everything that gets included in the budget.
All right.
That's a hint.
Thank you. The other thing I was going to ask you is about the renovations of the Old Hickory Community Center. What is our plans? I've asked for 2 years that, my concern is the basement part of that community center is not getting used. I don't know whether it's mothballed at this point in time, but I need something done with it, whether it be renovated or tore down and a new one built, and that's what I'm asking about this. I know we weren't included in the master plan, but we will be.
Yes.
I understand that. But, I've got to explain this to constituents because I've asked for it for that's the second year I've asked for it, and I'm not getting anywhere. So I just need to explain to them.
You know, Councilman, like I told you, it was in our request, but we were looking at basically a total rebuild of the community center. And again, I would still say that we purchased a significant piece of property on the Nacarado property out in your area, and we started a greenway project over at in your area as well. And the thing is we can only do what gets included in the budget, and we can make our requests. And the probably the key component is because of the area that was not part of Metro when we did our master plan. So the key component is going to be the master plan and the update of it and the inclusion of Lakewood in that entire process. We want to serve, and we feel that we do a good job of providing recreational services, and do not like being on the disappointing side as we talk to people like yourself or any of the other elected officials. But our hands are tied to a degree in that regard.
Can I ask you this? And of course, no, I appreciate what's been done, but also I know I got a lot of little mini parks out in that area too when y'all took over from Old Hickory Utility District.
Yes.
And I think we discussed some smaller things like a small basketball court or park down there by the Arts Center. Is that still feasible to get
Yes.
some of those little
Yes,
things
sir.
done?
Some of those little things are feasible and can be included in the deferred maintenance and small park aspect of the capital plan.
And can I
And
also
we are
add-
still looking at your district because of those things, because the basketball goals were there
Right.
and got taken away because of a safety concern.
Yeah, Feller Brown used to play on those, so it tells you how old they are. Also, as far as the greenway is concerned, are you talking about the greenway over toward the Crooked Branch Park?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is a plan to have a greenway down
And-
through there,
And there's always been a plan when we purchased that other piece of property to have some sort of connectivity. there.
Tacarada property?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Councilman Shulman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lynch, just a couple of questions. Looks like 111 new positions, not full-time, but just 111 positions, and 86 of those are seasonal. So the question is, do they start effective July 1st? Are you going to be trying to hire people to get in during the summer, or are they more geared towards like winter months and then for those in the summer for next year?
Well, like the ice rink would be in the winter months.
Right.
We're actually going to be hiring 72 additional seasonal workers this summer for our summer enrichment program. Everything else other than that is for the budget that starts in July. And that is to have those 72 positions budgeted in next year's budget.
All right, so are there 72 in the budget this year,
There's
right now?
72 that we're going to fill for this summer, yes, sir.
Okay, and then the new seasonal positions for the summer, would they be for next year?
They would be
starting-
for next summer season.
Okay.
So
Same
in
type of,
essence, the 72 would be to make the 72 we hire in June be there again next year, and then we'll make a request again next year to add on.
okay, I got it. Process, how do young people apply for that? Do they go through the Parks
Well, in
Department?
actuality, once we got the go-ahead once we talked to the mayor's office, finance, and HR, we had a job fair, and we've started the process already because our summer enrichment program starts shortly after school ends.
Second question was in line with Councilman Cooper, and it's the Fort Nashboro thing. Phase one, you've got
We
plenty
have
of.
we have money, we have a contract, we have Rock City as the contractor, and we were on site today with them.
So there's enough money in phase within your budget now to take care of the rebuilding of Fort Nashboro.
Yes, sir.
Nashboro.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so no new money in the capital plan as far as you know.
No, sir.
So phase two is the internal workings of that site
And that would be, we will put that in the request for next fiscal year.
for the next fiscal year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you talked about a staff person working there. There's nothing in this budget to take care of that situation.
No,
That would
sir.
also be a request for next year as well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there, do y'all actually have a plan in place? I mean, is there a plan, a visible plan that kind of shows the steps in terms of doing Fort Nashboro?
I'll let Tim answer that.
Sure.
We do. It's on the Metro Parks website, and I can send you a link to that. But it's the Fort Nashboro interpretive plan, which includes concept plans for both phases of the work.
Okay. Does it have a plan for the actual construction of the new facility on that plan as well?
In concept, we've got construction documents for it, but they're not included in the master plan.
I guess, when is the, do you know when it's going to start breaking ground to actually start the construction? of the
They
thing?
should break ground within, I would say, the next month, and it'll probably take about a year to actually get it built. We're in the process of getting a schedule from the general contractor. So it will include all of the exterior site improvements, plaza, et cetera, and then all the buildings, and a significant amount of interpretation on the exterior in phase one.
Okay. Make sure that Councilman Cooper gets a invitation, that groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
The last set of questions I had, I'd mentioned this to Mr. Lynch at one point. I know he loves this one. The Red Grooms Carousel is tucked away someplace. I believe it's in the state office
It
building
is owned by
somewhere.
the state. I think it's in somewhere in the basement of the state museum somewhere.
Okay, so did we ever own it, or did the state always own it, and then we just borrowed it from them? Because it used to be down near.
It was down on at Riverfront Park at one point in time, and the only thing that I do not know, but I would assume since it ended up in the property of the state, that it was state property in the first place. But Councilman, I do not know for sure, and I will check for that on that.
So again, this goes back to Representative Cooper. We're going to go look for it one day, and we're going to find it, and we're going to find out who owns it. And then we'd love to put it back out in a park someplace because it was really something pretty awesome. So if you can find it or I'll find it, we may be looking for it together.
All right, we could go together to look for it.
All right. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I did learn when I was back there that Council Lady Weiner was in labor 33 years ago during this hour. Just wanted you to know that.
Too much information.
Councilman, you don't want to respond to that. So Councilman Bedney?
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. So, as we work on Fort Nashville and we honor people from our past, will there be a location for a statue to honor Councilman Schulman?
Well,
So-
we really
sorry,
haven't
Chair.
looked
Sorry,
into
Chair.
that yet.
We're a little bit behind schedule.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. I just couldn't help it. That's all.
Mr. Litch, thank you very much for you being here. Thank you for the presentation, and appreciate all you do and all your staff do, and the board. Thank you for all being here.
Thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate doing what we do.